Hey friends, it's Tyler and welcome back to Creator Side Income. If you're new to the channel, I am a school teacher that does product reviews on the side. Last year I made an extra $68,000 with product reviews and I've made $140,000 total. So for me it's significant income. It's better than my teaching income. And it doesn't, at this point, it doesn't take very much time for me at all, just a few hours a week. But in this report, I'm going to share with you what I learned in February about earnings. Now I have some bad news. In February, I saw a decline in earnings in almost all my categories, and we'll get to the spreadsheet in a minute, but it was a very disheartening month. Now, I still made a lot of money, and I'm grateful for the money that's coming in, but because of these trends that I'm seeing, I'm a little sad and wary about the future of being a product reviewer, especially on the Amazon platform. And because of that, I decided to do a real deep dive into the analytics this week and spend more of my time looking at the numbers, and so that means there'll be less editing of this video because I literally spent like 5 hours this week going over every single thing so that I could tell you what I'm seeing happening, and so we can learn from that and do better in the future. So this is a deep dive analytics episode, more for the experienced product reviewers. Will newbies still get something out of it? Of course. I mean, this is the secret sauce. You might get more value out of this one video than you've ever gotten out of a product review video because I'm going to go so deep on what's happening right now. In fact, let me head over and I'm just going to show you my notes real quick before I show you the spreadsheet. So I made this report for me, but I did it as I took notes looking at my numbers, and you see that we're going to talk about what's trending down, what's holding steady, what's trending up, my summary, silver linings, and recommendations for next month. So I've got a lot in my notes. Let's head right over to the spreadsheet. So this is all my data since I started working, and you can zoom in on it if you want, but I'm going to highlight a few key things. You'll see that this first section of what's trending down is the big section, and I'll show you through the numbers what I've learned this last month. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is my YouTube earnings. I don't normally start with YouTube, but this was significant. You see that all of last year I was averaging between 400, 500 a month, and then I saw a big drop in January and then a further drop in February. So even though I have way more videos now, I saw a drop on YouTube. And in the past, if you've seen these summary reports, I've always been like, well, YouTube's the future because it stayed so consistent and Amazon's been dropping, but now I see that YouTube's dropping as well. And so this was alarming to me. So the metric that I wanted to analyze to see why the number was so low is the RPM, or earnings per 1,000 views. So I got into the back end of YouTube and I looked that up. And for February, my RPM was only, let's see, $3.43. $3.43. So to put that in context, in December, my RPM was $4.79, and my average for the whole year of 2024 was $4.45. So I'm looking at like a 28% drop from 2024 to 2025. That explains why we're seeing such a big drop here. But then I was curious, why the drop? I asked AI Studio, Google's AI engine, why RPMs might fluctuate, and they mentioned a bunch of things, and one of them was seasonality. And so I wondered, maybe it's just because it's January, February. So if we look back to January, February last year, you see that they are definitely a little bit lower than December. So I went in to my analytics and looked at the RPM there, and sure enough, last January I had an RPM of 385. So a year ago it was quite a bit lower, and so that explains part of it, is just the seasonality. But then if you compare last year to this year and it was just seasonality, I should be like $100 higher. And so then I suspect the biggest reason is another factor in RPM is competition. So I think there's more people on YouTube doing product reviews. There's higher competition, and that would result in less earnings per 1,000 views. And so I'm not thrilled about this development, but what it means is I need to keep working hard if I want to keep my earnings up on YouTube. All right, so that's my first thing. The next thing that's down is clicks per video. And you see over here, my clicks per video for February was 7.58. Compare that to January, and it seems like it's about the same. So why do I have this in the trending down? Well, let's look at last year. We've got 11 all to way up to 17 clicks per video over the course of the year. And if we go back a year and we look at our clicks per video, you see I was all the way up at like 63 and 41. And so doing the math, we have to do 8 times as much work today to get the same number of clicks as we did 2 years ago, or roughly double the work from what we did a year ago. So we do see there's been a huge change there. Now we can chalk this one up to saturation. If you have a bunch of videos up and they're getting less clicks, it's probably because someone's clicking on something else, and that means there's more videos up there. So we can say this isn't necessarily Amazon's fault. This is the fact that there's just more influencers in this space. However, the earnings per video should be consistent, because this is after the click. How likely are they to purchase? And you see we're at an all-time low right now of 96 cents per video, which, you know, just a few months ago we were almost double that. Certainly a year ago we were almost triple that at almost $3 per video, and you go back a year before that we were at $7, $8, $9 per video. So that tells us that if we want to match our earnings from 2 years ago, we have to do 6 times more videos. Now I skipped earnings per click. Earnings per click should be consistent. And sure enough, it looks pretty consistent over the last 2 years. We got 13 cents this last month, which is down. But if we go through last year, it was around 16, 17, 18, 20 cents. And the year before was similar. So what that tells us is there's saturation in the market. We're still making a lot if people click on our videos. It's down a little bit, and that might be seasonality, but that's not because of saturation. So to finish off with these downward trends, I want you to look at the end of my spreadsheet here, our earnings per day and our earnings, our projected yearly earnings. So our earnings per day is at $83 right now for just on-site. It would be $132 if you factor in all the other things. We'll get into some of those in a minute. But that's down from a year ago being around $130 a day, and at the peak $240 a day. So we're definitely making way less despite having doubled, tripled the number of videos that I've put into the thing. Now, the projection for the year on-site is right around 30,000 right now, which would be alarming. My goal is 50,000 for the year, but if you add in all the other things that we'll get into in a minute here, you see I'm still projected to make about $50,000 this year, so that's encouraging. So despite all these downward trends, there's a few things that are bright spots. Now let's transition into the holding steady category. For that, we're going to start back at the beginning of the spreadsheet with just clicks. These are on-site clicks. And you see that I had about 17,000 last month and the month before, down from double that over the holidays, but that's normal from the holidays to January, February. If we go back a year ago, we're slightly less than where we were a year ago. And so what we're learning from that is less people are clicking, and again, that's saturation in the market. The reason I put this on the holding steady is I'm encouraged that everything was on the decline from December to January, and then it held steady from January to February. So that's good news that people are still shopping from January to February. I'm still getting clicks. Now this column, the off-site earnings, I also put that as holding steady because it is. Last month was $133. This month was $119. That's down significantly from last year and from a year prior, but at least it's not continuing to decline. Similarly, if we look at our foreign storefronts here, you see that I'm down quite a bit, $98 versus $148 last year in the UK storefront, but that was so much higher than the rest of the year that I'm still pretty happy with that my combined foreign storefronts, you know, is over $100. That's not a lot. It's not worth the time I put into it, but I'm glad it's not continuing to decline. Now, if we jump all the way over here to the end of the spreadsheet, this is on-site earnings as a percentage of my total earnings, and you see that held steady at about 60%. If we go back a year ago, we were right around 75%, and the year before that, we were around 85%. So it is changing year over year, but there wasn't a big change from January to February. Now, finally, I want to talk about creator connections. I talked about this quite a bit last month, and I have a lot to say about this one. So if you're interested in creator connections, stay tuned for all of this. You see how it dropped from January $600 to February $300. That thing seems very discouraging. So if we look at, you know, this being in the holding steady category, that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but here's why. One of my goals for February was to work hard on creator connections to reach out to companies to see if I could make more videos for my top sellers. And while I didn't do the latter, I did do the former. In the first week of the month, I reached out to 50 companies. It only took me an hour. I made a list of all the things I wanted. I searched what companies had those products, and then I just sent them each a short message. I sent 50 out, and I got 5 responses, so about a 10% response rate, which isn't great. Of that 10%, I got one deal, and that one deal, normally I'd be discouraged by that, but the one deal was actually a pretty good deal. I got 2 products, each was worth over $200, and so they were things that I wanted that had some value. I didn't get paid to review them, and I don't know if they'll make me money because I just barely posted the reviews on each of those this last week, but the jury's still out on that. It could be that this next month my earnings go way back up for Creator Connections, especially if I double down on videos for my products that have been selling well. But it is still, Creator Connections is better than my foreign storefronts. It's better than my offsite commission. Right now it's looking like it could be better than YouTube, or it was this month. It was higher than YouTube. And so that's something that I should still focus on, even though I don't like that response rate of, only 10%. And then from that, I only had 20% that I made a deal with. I have one more that's kind of in the works. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so that's the holding steady. Now let's talk about the bright spots. What's trending up? And I only have 2 areas here, but they're both pretty cool and exciting. The first one here is my purple column, and this is my TikTok shop. You see, I made $62, which isn't a lot of money, but I stopped TikTok shop 6 months ago because I got kicked out. What I realized was over a month ago, I researched again because I had friends having success on that platform, and I learned that if I changed my business account back to a personal account, then I could be accepted into the TikTok Shop program, and sure enough, that worked. And so the first week of February, I uploaded 9 videos to one channel, and I actually could monetize another channel as well, and I put 2 videos there. Now, over the month for those 9 videos, I only made $60, but I put all those videos up in like less than an hour. So thinking that I made about $60 for that 1 hour, that was a pretty good use of my time, and something I'll talk about here in a minute as far as my goals for this next month. My other channel didn't make any sales, but I only put up 2 videos. So I'm excited to look at TikTok Shop moving forward. It seems like it's, a lot of the uncertainty around TikTok Shop at the beginning of the year with us potentially closing it down here in the United States. Some of those fears have been allayed, at least temporarily. So I think there's some potential here on TikTok Shop. My other area of trending up is next to it, and you see that it's not trending up. If you look at last month, my sponsored post made $445, and this month, my sponsored post made $445. The difference is last month I did 14 or 15 reviews. This month I did 10 reviews. So my earnings per video of $44.50 is the highest that it's ever been, which means I'm doing a little bit less work for the same amount of pay. I like that. That's a good positive trend. I want to continue to see that trend up. I think that this category of sponsored reviews is one that has potential to double or triple by the end of the year. I would love to consistently make more than $1,000 a month with sponsored reviews, and the way I'm approaching that right now is do better quality reviews there so that I can command a higher price point. So I am doing a little bit more editing. I'm seeking out higher end products, and so I'm not doing as many cheap videos, but it's been working for me. It's slowly been working for me, but I'm excited about the possibilities there. Okay, so to summarize, if we look at our spreadsheet here, you see that my total earnings, well, let's start with on-site. My total earnings on on-site was only $2,200, which is half of what I was making a year ago. I think that trend is consistent with what other people are seeing. But if you add in all the other little pieces, I ended up with $3,567. Actually, it's the last day of the month, so it'll be a little bit higher than that, but I wanted to make sure I got this video done. So pretty close to $3,600 for the month. Now, that's disheartening that it's the lowest it's been in over a year and a half, almost 2 years. That's my lowest monthly income in over 2 years, but it's still over $100 a day, which as a side hustle income, that's pretty awesome. And so as far as the silver linings here, it's something that I'm only spending a few hours on a week. I'm still making over $100 a day. So as far as side hustles go, I still think product reviews is the best and easiest side hustle that exists in the world right now. It certainly has been good for me and my family. If we look at worst case scenarios for this year, we've already booked a luxury vacation to the East Coast. We've already booked a cruise to Mexico. We've already bought tickets for our entire family to go see a Broadway show. And so if the earnings dry up, we're still going to have an incredible year as a family. But the best part of this is we've used that extra money to pay down debt, to invest in the stock market, to invest in real estate. And so our financial future is a lot brighter than it was 2 or 3 years ago, where we can really see fast approaching the point of financial independence. And so that's been so exciting for us to have this extra income that has allowed us to change our lifestyles. Another silver lining, and this might be silly, but because things are so bad right now, like today was my worst day I've ever had. I had a big return yesterday, like a $50 return. And so my total earnings for on-site was like $10. And my total earnings for offsite was like $9. So I earned $20 today, which is the lowest I've had for a non-holiday ever, even back in my first month in the program. And so that's a little depressing. But because of that, I'm not checking my earnings every day anymore, which is probably good for my mental health. This last month was the first time where I was like, oh my gosh, I went a whole day without checking my earnings. And that's probably really good for me to not be glued to the numbers. You see how much I love numbers here on this spreadsheet. I love analyzing trends because I want to maximize my output. But it's probably good for me to kind of calm down a little bit. The other silver lining for me is that I'm starting to get higher end products. That's something I've been focused on this year, is quality over quantity and working on higher end product reviews. Somebody sent me a $3,000 product this last month. It's the first product I've ever reviewed that I have to send back. I don't get to keep it, but if I make commissions off it, that's a healthy commission. And so I'm excited to see what happens with that. I also had a number of other Creator Connections products that were sent to me that were higher end products that I do get to keep, and they were things that I wanted. And so I'm really excited about the possibility of improving my quality of reviews. And if you want to see my reviews, most of them are very low quality. It's on my channel, Reviews of Cool Stuff. Most of my reviews I shoot in 5 minutes or less and do minimal editing, but I am starting to do a few reviews that are slightly higher quality, and I think that's paying off for me. So my recommendations and goals for this next month. One thing is, with those higher end products, to do some comparison videos, and so I want to do a handful of those this month. I want to reach out again with Creator Connections and see if I can get some high-end products, maybe even reach out to brands individually and see if I can get some of the things that I want. I have another channel now called Chasing Junk, where I do baseball cards and I just open packs, and those are some of the ones that have worked for me on TikTok Shop. So I have a goal of making 30 videos for that. I only made 9 last month. This month I want to do one every day and see if I can consistently make money on TikTok Shop. So I'm going to be doing a bunch of vertical videos. It's a slightly different style, but still not a ton of editing. And I want to do 20 other vertical videos that I'll put on Amazon and TikTok Shop for just normal things around the house that we've purchased, my normal non-sponsored videos. So that means I'm going to do 50 shorts this month, or vertical videos, which is a lot more than I'm used to. I also still want to do 50 horizontal videos. 10 or more of those will be sponsored videos, and the rest will be things that we've purchased on Amazon or that are lying around our house, or things that I want to do a new video for. And so in total, I want to do 100 videos this month, which is ambitious. I've only done 25 last month and 50 the month before that, so I'm going to have to increase my output this month. But I really haven't been working hard the last few months. I've been focused more on this channel, Creator Side Income. On my job as a teacher, I've put in extra time for that because I have a busy load this semester. And in creating this new channel on YouTube, Chasing Junk, I've spent a lot of time with that. So I'm going to get back to the basics this month, do a lot of product reviews. I really think I'm going to see some positive trends, at least over the last few months. I think March is historically a little bit better than February. So while we made about $3,500 this last month, I'm hoping to make $4,000 in March. We'll see how it goes. I'm also going to publish 4 videos on this channel about the Amazon Influencer Program. I've started this series for newbies. I haven't been as consistent as I want to be, which, you know, for my own mental health and just the load that I'm carrying, I decided I had to step back a little bit and not go at the furious pace I was trying to accomplish at the beginning of the year. But you will get a video each week this month. I've interviewed some incredible people who are coming on as guests. I've already published a few of those interviews, so you might want to go back in the archives and see some of those because they're sharing some real knowledge bombs on the channel. But if these analysis videos are helpful for you, or if these beginner videos on the Amazon Influencer Program are helpful for you, would you please do all the things that you're supposed to do to help little channels like mine? We really are a little channel, so if you like, if you share, if you comment, you know, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that. That just helps out this little channel. I want to see it grow because I think these videos are super, super helpful. I don't think anyone is diving as deep into the Amazon Influencer Program as I am. I certainly haven't found anyone that's doing that online. And I've been consistent. I've been making these reports for the last couple of years now, and I think they're really helpful if you stick with me. I would love to see this channel grow. I want to keep making these videos for you, but it does take time and energy, and if I put all that same time and energy just into doing product reviews, I'd be a much wealthier man. And so to justify it to my wife and kids, please support the channel. That would be really great. And have a lovely day. Bye-bye.